Hi guys, here's Kira again. We're doing a back bend tutorial today. The biggest thing people complain about back bends is back pain, and I'll show you why I believe that they're having that. So I kind of say jokingly in class, but also kind of serious. If I've had a class for 6 months, usually people avoid back bends a lot. When I get to back bends, all of a sudden they can't do the pose, something's wrong with them. But we get to the handstand and all of a sudden everyone and everything is fixed and it's fine. So I say, if you've been coming to this class for 6 months and you're still not doing your back bend, I would like to see a doctor's note as to why. All of our life is spent like this. Typing, driving, answering phones, maybe you cook something in the kitchen, we're always rounded. So back bends are really, really important to reopen the spine, to fix the spine. I can't say better than an espresso shot because I really love espresso shots, but it's pretty damn good. So do your back bends. Okay, so here's Kira. She's gonna lie down onto her back. So I believe the biggest reason people complain about back pain is because they don't have the correct upper body strength or they cheated. And when they lift, they turn their heels in towards one another like this. And I call this the Charlie Chaplin effect. Heels in, toes out, you're closing the lower back. Voila, back pain. So the first thing you'd want to look to see if the feet are parallel, then take the hands and just graze your heels. That's your distance. Yep, a little bit too close. And then from here, making sure the feet are parallel. If I'm really working with someone and they're struggling, I just step on their feet. Hands taking their cheat away. Hands around the ears, elbows up and in. Now, the elbows, students love to do this. And then take your heels to get your feet out. Yep, and that's how they enter their back bend. Voila, a lot of pain, a lot of complaining. So heels out, feet parallel, elbows up and in. So if I'm seeing a student constantly do heels together like you saw her do, if I stand here, I'm gonna ask them to take their elbows up and in, to lift up just to the crown of the head. Elbows in. They won't get up because they've been doing it from their Charlie Chaplin feet and their lower back closes. So this is their first step, relearning correctly. You can stay here or start to rise straight up. Good. I usually guide students through straight arm and straight leg. So you can walk the hands away from you. You can walk the feet away from you. I'm a big believer in movement. So she already just pressed it at her feet. She lifted the toes up. She drove the heels down. And you could stay where you could rock back and forth. The point is, if you look at her back bend, it's more like an arch window. It's distributed beautifully between the legs, the spine, the shoulders. You don't want to be stuck somewhere or the other. Then you put the feet down, tuck the chin to the chest, and slowly from the upper back all the way lower, come back down. Good. So good back bend. Another cue to think about it or to say this, the elbows are going up and in. Start to lift the hips up. And when you can no longer lift up, you can look at your knees. If the knees are facing the ceiling, the elbows are facing the ceiling, you have a green light, you're good to go. Now, if you take your heels in, don't go. Good. If you take your heels in, toes out, knees are facing out, elbows are facing out, yep, no good. And do not go, do not collect $200. Come back down and fix yourself. So correctly, feet parallel, elbows up and in, press the feet down, lift the hips, lift the middle of the back, check your elbows, and then rise. If you're stuck, back is pinching, walk the hands and the feet away, rock back and forth, good. She's pretty open, and that's how you do it, straight arms, straight legs first. Walk away from yourself, don't walk in if you're tight. Slowly lower, upper body first, then the middle, and then the lower. Okay, so now the student's like, oh great, my back feels so great. Thanks teacher, thanks for fixing me. Oh, you're welcome. And then they're like, but my wrist hurt. And I'm like, dear mother of God, what else hurts? No, just kidding. You're a good teacher, you're being of service. So when I have students that are extremely tight, what you saw in Kira, how it was an arch window and it was beautiful, her hands and shoulders were in the same line. For most people, that's not realistic at all, so they end up putting too much weight on the wrist. In this case, I know which students that they are, and I have them set up by the wall, and when we get to back bends, they use the wall. So the strong ones are the ones that know it. They can take their hands on the blocks right away. Yep, and the elbows go up and in. However, if it's a new student or I'm not certain, they would take their hands on their floor, elbows up and in, and then check that the feet are parallel, lift from the hips, rise, And then walk one hand at a time on the blocks. Otherwise, you'd enter with hands already on the blocks. Good. Now you could walk the feet in if you're moving deeper, but most likely you're just trying to get some pressure off the wrist and using your whole arm. Because you're here, someone more advanced like Kira, so you could do it if you're having wrist stuff for someone tighter, but someone like Kira could walk her feet in more, go to the toes, and she could place her chin on the wall in the chest, and that will deepen it. But that's not the point of this for most of you, just to get you off of your wrist. Walk the legs back out, and then slowly lower. Upper body, middle, then lower. So I would say don't draw the thighs to the chest, and then you're fully done with your back bends. Doing twists is a really smart idea. Some forward folds, legs up at the wall, perhaps some core work to zip it back up. If you don't like back bends now, just watch your attitude towards it. Do it for your older self that will appreciate standing upright. So when students still don't listen, my last scare tactic is I say Bernie Sanders, because I loved Bernie Sanders, and I just say he was such a great man, and my dream would have been that he would have won for presidency, and I would have been his yoga teacher. So he could go from here to just like up here, and yes, we can. So do your back bends, because throughout life, you're going to end up like this. Do you want to be like this when you're older? I don't think so. Stand upright, love your back bends. Peace out.